Hey guys, Omar here with Overlanding Just Cause, and this video is about my Ram Rebel Rubble Reducer, the Jeep Commander. In this video, I want to talk about my dual battery system. This was the very first install that I've done, that I've ever done regarding electricals. First time wiring stuff, first time soldering, first time connecting stuff. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos and different guys doing it their way. And one thing that was common with all these videos that I watched, they all warned, be careful not to burn your vehicle down. And so that, of course, was on the back of my mind. But when it was all said and done and I finished, not only was it easier than I thought it was going to be, it was a lot of fun. It was a fun install. So first, let's talk about why I decided to do a dual battery system. You have several options. First option is a battery bank. Now, with a battery bank, I wouldn't be able to leave the fridge inside the vehicle full time. Battery bank is something that you charge at the house, and when you're ready to go off the grid, camping, overlanding, whatever, that's when you take it out, charge it up to you, or hook it up to your battery, and off you go. I wanted something that was more permanent. I want to keep my fridge in the vehicle. I don't want to have to take it in and out. Right now you see that it's not in the vehicle. I wanted to have some space to show you this install, so I took it out for this video. But I wanted to have something more permanent. So with a permanent install, you have two options when it comes to batteries. You have an Agm battery, which is the old school batteries. They've been out for a very long time. And then you have the newer lithium batteries, which have been out quite a while, but they're obviously newer than the Agm. There are pros and cons to having both. So let's talk about the Agm battery. A pro to having an Agm battery is that it's very similar to your starter battery. So people actually install it as a backup to their starter battery. So for example, you're off the grid, you go to crank your vehicle up, it doesn't start, you can transfer it over to that secondary battery and it'll start it up, along with managing all the other things that you have in your vehicle. Another advantage of having an Agm battery is that it's cheaper. It's a cheaper price point. So I have a 100 amp hour lithium battery. If you get a 100 amp hour Agm battery, they run about 180 bucks. My 100 amp hour lithium battery at the time that I bought it 6 months ago was $500. Now you can find them cheaper for the same battery for $399. They're getting cheaper because more companies are making them and the competition's there. Advantages of having a lithium battery is the weight. The lithium battery this one weighs 24 pounds versus the same size Agm battery would weigh 60 pounds. So if payload is a concern of yours in your vehicle, then the lithium battery is the way to go. It's going to save a couple pounds. Another advantage of having a lithium battery is that it lasts a lot longer. I can get over 4,000 cycles of recharging it out of this lithium battery versus an Agm battery. You're only going to get between 200 and 400 cycles of recharging. Another advantage of lithium is that I can use more of that charge of the battery. So for example, a 100 amp hour Agm battery, I can only use 50% of that charge before I have to recharge it. And again, I only get 200 to 400 of those cycles. Versus a lithium battery, I can deplete it all the way to 20% before I have to recharge. And again, I get over 4,000 of those charges. So depending on your budget, I ended up saving a little extra to get this lithium battery. Either one's going to work great. Now, the components that I got for this install. I got the battery itself. That's the main component. I have a battery box which reminds me, with a lithium battery, you can store it however you want, depending on your configuration in your vehicle, how you want to set it up. So I got a battery box. I got 2 circuit breakers. One's going to be near the starter battery. The other one's going to be near the secondary battery. I ended up using 2-gauge wire for my install. Thicker wire because I'm running the length of the vehicle. So the further away you're going, the thicker the wire needs to be. And the last thing is a Renogy DC to DC charger. Now you have other options. The Red Arc makes a great product. They are on the pricier point. I decided to go with Renogy because I was spending a little too much on the lithium battery to kind of offset it. But the Renogy had great reviews. It's working great for me. I've had this install for about 6 months and no issues. And the Jeep still hasn't burned down. So another thing about this, the Renogy DC to DC charger is that it's solar capable. So eventually when I get solar, I'll be able to charge it using solar panels. Now, right now, when I'm at home, I have an extension cord coming out of my garage. I have a trickle charge that's just charging that battery, keeping it charged. It's one of those smart chargers where it doesn't overcharge the battery. As soon as it's full, it turns off. So that's an option to have if you don't have solar. All right, so I think that's it as far as like the information. Now let me show you how I installed it. Again, let's start at the front and work our way to the back. I'll show you how I hid the cables and how I set everything up. Let's go. So starting on the front, this is my starter battery right here. I have that 2-gauge cable coming out of the positive terminal, and it's going straight into the circuit breaker. Now when you're using a 2-gauge cable like this, a thicker wire, they say that you need at least 120 amp circuit breaker. This is 150 amp. So you see it comes in through here and it comes out this way. Connection here, and this goes all the way across the engine bay where I found a grommet to go through the firewall. Now that was a pain in the butt because this is such a thick wire. It runs all the way across the engine block down here, and the grommet is way down there. You can actually see the putty right there. And that's the stuff that I use to foam it up around the cable to keep the elements out. You see where it goes through. It's a very sloppy job I did. It was my first time using this putty, so didn't know what to expect, and it just went all over the place. That 2-gauge wire comes out. This is the passenger side of the vehicle. Comes in underneath the dashboard. And if you see it there, that's where it comes out. Again, that's that foam to kind of seal that area off. That wire goes in through here. I popped this out, ran the wire through here, straight to the back. The wire comes through here, comes underneath here, in, and it comes out through this piece underneath the seat, wraps around, and then up to the DC to DC charger. All right, guys, so the wire that I ran from the front comes up and it goes into the DC to DC charger. Before I get into this charger, I want you to notice the platform that it's plywood. I installed it onto the back of the vehicle. I just screwed it in. I needed something to hold the DC to DC charger plus the circuit breaker. I didn't want to put it on the platform because it's limited space. So I installed it up here, and it's worked fine. So now I screwed it into the back, and now I'm able to screw the charger plus the circuit breaker onto the plywood. All right, so back, the positive wire comes into this portion of the DC to DC charger and continues on this side out. If you notice, it goes straight into the circuit breaker. Same circuit breaker as the front. From here, positive wire goes through positive terminal of the battery box. The negative wire, the negative cable comes out of here and into the negative terminal. I also have another negative wire that's actually connected to the battery itself, that comes out of this side, which I'll show you in a second, and it goes underneath the vehicle, and it's grounded to the chassis of the Jeep. This portion of the charger is for solar. Once I get my solar panels, I'll stick a cable out through here. It goes to the battery and connects to the solar panels. The battery box itself, one thing that I wanted to make sure that I got with my battery box was a 12-volt outlet, because I wanted it to connect to the refrigerator. This one comes with a 12-volt outlet on this side. On the other side, there's a USB outlet. This battery box also gives you the option of knowing how much of a charge. You press this button, test, and it tells you how much charge your battery has. How accurate it is, I'm not 100% sure. I'll give you an example. When we went to the expo, we were out there for 2.5 days. I didn't have solar charge. The only time this battery charged was when I ran the vehicle, doing the obstacles and the courses that they had. And with just that, being out there 2.5 days, when we got home, I did the test and I had a little over 50% of the battery charge. So not bad. Another tip for you guys is to make sure that when you install this battery box, make sure it's tied down. That's one thing I got out of all the videos, other than don't burn your car down, was to make sure it's tied down securely. The last thing you want is, an accident to happen and you have a 20-pound square bowling ball flying around your vehicle. Very dangerous. So make sure you have it tied down. I have it tied down on this side. You can't see it, but I have straps. It wraps around and I crank it down and it doesn't budge. Now, looking inside the battery box, what? Oh, son of a... All right, so there's the battery itself. The brand is Ampere Time. Again, it's a 12-volt, 100 amp hour battery, 24 pounds, pretty light compared to AGM, where, like I said earlier, it's going to run 60 pounds. This right here is the negative cable that runs to the chassis it's grounded to the chassis of the Jeep. And these other wires that you see down here are for the rocker switch that I installed. Watch that video if you haven't. And also the water pump. Watch that video if you haven't. So that's it, guys. That's my dual battery setup. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I answer them quickly. And yeah, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned next week for the next video, and take care.